Hello guys, welcome back to Chaos TV's live coverage of the Turkey International Invitational here at Chaos TV. I'm Medis joined by Stress, although I believe he's AFK just for a couple minutes, and this is Dark Passage versus Tick Trick and Duck game number 2. As you can see, we are in the picks and bans. So, pretty similar bans in a lot of aspects, although Lulu did slip through the cracks in game number 1, was picked up from Naru, who did a pretty magnificent job in the mid lane, actually. Got a 6-0 and 7 at the end, I believe, and that is going to be banned out straight away from Tick Trick and Duck, actually the first ban, so obviously fearing the Lulu. And I have just been informed that Mr. Stress has rejoined us. How you doing, dude?
I'm good. Sorry about that. I wasn't quite expecting to start yet. I still got a minute on my clock, but there we go. Nevertheless, things happen. As you said, Lulu banned away, and I have a feeling, well, it's obviously not anymore because ban's phase is over, but Renekton picked up. I wanted to comment on how good Nami was in the previous game. Actually finishing that game 0-3 and 18, when you take into account that I think Bonaparte was like 3-3 and 4. That's a big difference on that assists counter.
Yeah, it certainly is, and it was for a couple of reasons. One, Nami typically does well against Sona at bot lane, but also you get so many assists playing Nami, because if your tidal wave even like touches the edge of anybody, you're going to get an assist. But I fully agree, like Nami played so well that game, and massive props to, of course, Triel, who was running that champion. I would be quite surprised if we do see Sona locked in again. I'm going to be honest with you, Stress. It's something we discussed in the game and indeed in the break, that Bonaparte didn't have the best of Sona games. So maybe something like a Thrasher and Annie will be picked up this time around. Maybe even Leona.
I'm actually not keen on this if they lock this in. There we go. Okay, that's a lot better. I was going to say, I feel like if Kha'Zix is available, play him in the jungle. There's no reason not to. We've seen how strong he is. If he's going to be let through the bans phase, use him currently in his strongest position. So thankfully they changed off Lee Sin, picked up a good bottom laner with Lucian.
Yeah, we also saw last game as well that should probably go for Leap Evolved, because it does help quite a lot in team fights. So again, it's going to be quite interesting to see how Dark Passage approach this one. And they're going to go for the Karma, and I'm assuming that's going to be Bonaparte playing Karma at bot lane.
That leaves them with a couple of options here that we'll see what Dark Passage end up locking in, but we've seen a couple of different AD carries with Karma recently, especially this morning in OGN, that made me start to wonder how things were coming back into it, because this morning we saw a Cogmore in the bottom lane alongside Karma, but that relies on having not a lot of hard crowd control on the side of Dark Passage. So say they were to lock this Soraka in, Cogmore's a valid option, maybe not so much against an army.
I would be super surprised to see a Soraka locked in a bot lane support. It doesn't offer a great deal, to be completely honest. But as you say, yeah, Cogmore is a very good pick with Karma. Also in the OGN match, they also had Lulu mid, so they had a lot of peel, a lot of kind of survivability for their Cogmore, and the maneuverability as well from Karma. So without the Lulu, not too sure if they'd go for Cogmore. I definitely wouldn't expect to see Quinn. If Quinn gets locked in, I may actually have a heart attack, because when was the last time we even saw Quinn in competitive play?
Actually, last week.
Really?
Yeah, Dignitas played it in LCS.
Oh, that explains it, Dignitas. Crazy.
Wow, I don't even know what that means, but if they lock Quinn in, I'll tell you why it's a bad idea in a sec. But that's going to get changed. I'm like 100% confident that's getting changed. Now, I wouldn't expect to see a Cogmore either, because of the amount of crowd control now on the side of Dark Passage. I'm actually a little disappointed to see Holy Phoenix playing, or at least hovering over Lee Sin. Well, picking in Lee Sin, actually, looking at it. But I don't know, I feel like that's kind of wasting Kha'Zix's true potential. However, Jace we've seen return to the top lane recently, but this time is going to be over in the middle lane by the looks of it.
Yeah, a couple of days ago it was actually Fabulous that was playing Jace at the top lane, so quite an interesting lock-in here from Tick Trick and Duck. Have to assume that's going to be Jace mid with Renekton. I'm assuming it's Jace mid.
Yeah, which means then it leaves us as Kha'Zix top. So I kind of feel that with Nidalee available and a couple of other mid laners, when you look at Orianna, Gragas available, that's A strange decision to pick up a Jace. However, of course, his kit will synergize fairly well. Has a lot of poke. Has the acceleration gate for extra movement speed. Take into account Karma as well. Is going to have that extra movement speed. So I wonder how it's going to go. It's not a mid laner that we have seen in quite a while.
Yeah, it certainly isn't. And last time around when Fabulous was playing it, he went for the hypercharge and a bloodthirster, if you remember, stress, and it was doing so much damage. Didn't even go for the Tear of the Goddess, didn't go for the Mana Moon or anything like that. So gonna be quite interesting to see how Snow plays this one from mid. As you say, lots of mobility though with Karma and the acceleration gate. On the flip side, Triel has locked in the Nami again, which by the way I absolutely love against Jinx. For the same reason it's strong against Sona. If you can lock the Aqua Prison down, Jinx is very vulnerable to the follow-up damage that Lucian will be putting down with Piercing Light, Ardent Blaze, the double shots, and then on top of that you got Tidecaller's Blessing. So that's a really good combination of bot lane.
You look at this Tick, Trick, and Duck composition, though, and it's got one focus. It's pretty clear what Tick, Trick, and Duck want to do. They want to take down turrets. They want to take down turrets fast because you got Jace with the hypercharge, you got Jinx having that extra attack speed building up in that Gatling gun form. Those two are pretty much two of the best champions that you can get for taking down turrets.
Yep, that is a very good point. And with the mobility that they also possess, it's going to be quite easy for them to get in, do a bit of damage, then get out again, and not really have to worry too much about getting all in engaged upon. So, again, that is a very valid point that you bring up, Stress. And it's going to be interesting to see how Dark Passage are going to deal with that one, because looking at their team, they don't have massive amounts of engage unless you can get like a Gragas barrel around the backside or maybe Crystal jumping in again, trying the insect moves. Apart from that, though, Tick, Trick, and Duck should be okay to get in and out fairly unscathed.
They should be okay. Again, they're kind of looking for a bit of disengage with the Karma and the Jace as well. This is kind of weird that you've got two team compositions that don't really want a team fight as such. Like Nami's gonna try and disengage from a lot of the team fight. The only real champion that really wants a team fight that much is Kha'Zix in this lineup. So it's kind of a weird mix of everything on the side of Dark Passage. So kind of weird.
It is, but we are live onto the Rift, as you guys can see now, between Tick, Trick, and Duck. I say that, of course it's going to be a pause. It's the curse of the commentator once again. Apparently Dark Passage are having some ping issues from Holy Phoenix, so that is the reason for the pause. Fingers crossed we'll be ready to go live again very shortly. If you have just joined us here on KSTV, the first game went interestingly to Dark Passage in the end, but they were definitely up against it in the first 15 minutes, Stress.
Yeah, I mean, Dark Passage ended up coming out ahead in that one. Yeah, I am right in that one. I second guessed myself there, thinking I was like, Tick, Trick, and Duck got such a good lead in that game that Dark Passage never would have got back in. But no, Tick, Trick, and Duck had themselves quite a significant lead at 15 minutes in, and then Dark Passage just really well worked their way back into that game. Started warding up really well into the jungle of Tick, Trick, and Duck, and ended up closing the game out after coming back into it. So we'll see whether they can control the early game a little bit better this game. We'll see whether they'll have to end up coming back into it.
Yeah, and also Fabulous was playing against Kha'Zix last game. Phantom Joe was taking Kha'Zix and Fabulous was playing Jax. Jax went 0-4 down at top lane, but managed to claw his way back into the matchup as Lulu, as I mentioned previously, went huge in mid. I believe ended the game without dying, so was just super strong. That's the reason it was banned out for game number 2. As you can see, we do have some DCs and reconnects right now, so we should be ready to go live fairly shortly.
Yeah, hopefully so. I mean, typically this doesn't normally take all that long once we've had people start reconnecting and that, but you never know. We'll be around with you until we get information on what's going on. But we've only been there for about a minute and a half so far, so it's not too bad.
Yep, so just having a look across the board right now, we've already jumped in fairly in depth about the two teams in question here, Stress, and we do have another best of 3 coming up later on after this game. Holy Phoenix has just disconnected again, so seems his internet is having some issues right now. I'm just trying to find the brackets because I'm pretty sure it's Cloud9, but I'm not sure who they're against, so I'm going to quickly go and find them.
Yeah, we unfortunately haven't had the opportunity to cast from that middle section of the bracket. We've been following Dark Passage and Cloud9 a lot through this tournament, who are at completely opposite ends of the bracket. So this is the first game we've casted from Tick, Trick, and Duck. I believe that TTD played Departed the other day, but it is Cloud9 against C Play, I believe, is the
Okay,
second best of three.
so C-Play are a team that I haven't seen them much recently, but if I go back 6 to 12 months ago in the EUS Challenger Series, they were a team in their own right. And as you say, Cloud9 Eclipse are a team that we've become very accustomed to stress recently, and they're on somewhat of a roll so far. So that has the makings of a pretty good best of three. And of course, they will face off against whoever wins this matchup in the grand finale. And that's on Sunday, I think, or this weekend.
I believe it is. Yeah, I have a feeling it's Sunday. As I've got that one scheduled into my calendar, so I hope it's Sunday. Otherwise, that could be a bit problematic. But Sunday is Mother's Day as well, so a
It
lot going
is.
on Sunday, or at least Mother's Day here for us in the UK. I know America has it at a different time.
America's just crazy, man. But yeah, 30th is the Sunday, so that's when the final is scheduled for. And that's at 8 o'clock Turkish time, so that's 6 p.m. GMT or 7 p.m. If you are living in Central European time zone. As you heard there, Reconnect has came in from Holy Phoenix, so I did say last time probably going to go live soon. I'm not going to say that this time because who knows, honestly.
Yeah, you got a horrible habit of saying that things aren't going to happen or are going to happen, and then the complete opposite happens.
I'm cursed, man.
Nothing could possibly go wrong.
Oh, why do you say that? Why?
Oh dear, it's like that Simpsons episode with Itchy and Scratchy Land. Nothing can possibly go wrong. That's the first thing that's ever gone wrong. To give you insight into this little conversation, this is back from Face It when Vince was saying, "Well, let's hope that's the worst thing that happened to me today," and then got in a car crash and lost his luggage.
Yeah, it was. It certainly wasn't the luckiest of weekends. I had a blast though. Face It was a very enjoyable tournament to cast, and fortunately, I got back safe. I can't actually talk at the moment because English. I am English, by the way.
Well, I mean, you're Joe Miller, aren't you? I mean,
apparently, I don't think he screws up this much though. I think I went out of character for a bit too long.
Oh dear. I'm just having flashbacks to the pizza, man. Like, of course we were over in Italy. Like, I haven't. Every time I have a pizza since, it's just like depression. It's just not the same.
It is so cliche to say how good Italian pizzas are, but honestly, if you've never had an Italian pizza in Italy, then you've missed out on a bit of life. They're so good. So yeah, definitely highly recommend if you're ever thinking whether or not to go to Italy, give it a shot and get a pizza. You will not regret that decision.
That's not the only thing. I mean, I was over at MZM Expo this past weekend and was like, okay, well, I had one over in Italy, so I'll have an espresso here as well. Just try and see whether it wakes me up. Of course, guys, we are in a pause, so we're just filling a little bit of time before we can get back in. But I had an espresso right in the morning at 9 o'clock, and I thought, Starbucks is the only place around. I'm sure it'll be fine. Starbucks deals with medium quality coffee. Oh my god, it was so different and so much worse. Like, oh, it was like the most depressing thing ever. It's bitter. And,
I would love to chime in about coffee, but I never drink it. I don't
Neither
have
do
any
I. I
caffeinated
just thought,
drinks.
let's go with it. But speaking of let's go into the game. That was a segue and a half. I know, right? Dark Passage against Tick, Trick, and Duck here. Game number 2 of this best of 3 in the semi-finals.
Yes, and let's hope from Tick, Trick, and Duck's perspective that they've used that 5-minute break to get themselves some espressos, and they come back here all guns blazing because they do find themselves in a 0-1 situation in a best of 3. So if they do lose this match, stress, they will not be progressing any further in this tournament. And as we already mentioned before, the winner of this will play the Cloud9 Eclipse, or Core Play, C-Play as they're also known, in the grand finale.
Oh man, you just said espresso. Nice Italiano, bro.
Espresso. You mad?
No, but I'm a little, well, not... let me rephrase this. 3 Doran's blades on the side of Tick, Trick, and Duck is something that we haven't seen in a little while. No Doran shields in this entire game to begin with. I think we found the one game where there are no Doran shields to begin with.
Yeah, no Doran shields, but lots of swords. So, super, super aggressive play. Well, not swords really, they're more like daggers. But still, Jace has picked one up in mid. So that's a very aggressive start for him against Naru. And honestly, if Naru does land a couple of barrels, Snow's going to be in a bit of trouble here, especially if Lee Sin moves around and gets a successful gank off.
Man, is this going to be... I was going to say, Nightmare's not going to be able to catch up on that. I thought that was going to be a really easy level 1 kill there for Tick, Trick, and Duck. As Fabulous was going a little bit aggressive in that ward up in the top side of the map. But that does leave Phantom Joe pretty low here.
Yeah, he has got pretty significantly chunked right now. And Fabulous is actually going to back away. And while we have this little lull in the action, Stress, from a colorcaster's viewpoint, I need your analysis. Is the Doran's blade a sword or a dagger? Because looking at the picture, it could be either or, to be honest.
Man, I feel like it's a dagger.
Yeah, I think so too.
I don't know. Because it's taken from kind of like a front-on perspective, whereas you look at most swords and they're like angled back into the screen.
That's a good point, like the BF sword.
Yeah.
Alright, well, I'll give you that one. I agree. I think it's a dagger.
There's the analysis for you.
It is, dropping those logic bombs on us here. And, of course, I only bring that up because it's a bit of a slow, steady approach this time around. No invades, other than that early kind of confrontation between the 2 top laners, but apart from that, has been pretty much smooth sailing. Both junglers now are going to be picking up their red buffs, and it's quite interesting to see where they're going to go next with it, because Iron Nightmare camped top in that first game if he did miss it, managed to get the ball rolling against Jax, but I'm not too sure it's going to be that easy this time around on a Kha'Zix.
Yeah, Kha'Zix's a little bit more slippery, does have that leap available, so one of those things that I wonder, Iron Nightmare's got to try and get into a lane. I wonder which one he's going to pick here, because you can see Tick, Trick, and Duck shoving up in the bottom lane, shoving up in the middle as well, fairly consistently with Jason. As you said, if Naru can start to land those barrels, he'll be pretty well off. And Phantom Joe trading again in that top lane. This time dropped low enough that he's forced to back, but it's the bottom lane that we see a flash.
Ooh, that all started off an Aqua Prison landing again here from Triel, who's just been on point with them these last 2 games. And this is something I mentioned in the picks and bans. If an Aqua Prison lands, the follow-up damage from Holy Phoenix is massive as Lucian, and that's what we just saw. That's forcing Sunny backwards right now. And with Lee Sin coming to bot lane, they need to be careful.
Yeah, the gank looking like it may have been on, but that's a nice ward right at the perfect time out there by Bonaparte to make sure that... Oh, it was actually Sunny that placed that ward, but making sure that they didn't get taken out by a gank from Lee Sin. And you can see it does itself justice there. Saves them that time.
But the reason why Crystal chased so hard is because the whole time when he was chasing, minions were dying. So it was actually denying Sunny from getting any more last hits or being in experienced range. This is allowing Lucian just to get a bit further ahead right now. So it may seem like quite a strange idea for Crystal to chase them down when it was obvious he wasn't going to catch anything. I think that's the reason why, just forcing away from experience. Evelyn, though, could be coming mid, or not, is backing away. GG.
I feel like there is something that undoes our justifying of the Doran's blade.
What's that?
There is the item dagger.
There is the attack speed item.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe we have to rethink this one.
Maybe it's a gladius, which is like a short sword.
Oh man, don't be bringing up these. That's not. I can't deal with different weaponry. Like this is too
That's
much.
what gladiators had, I think. I think that's the Latin name for it.
I guess we do have a machete as well. There's a lot of different types of blades, but Aqua Prison lands in the bottom.
It has. This time, though, Sunny is going to get shielded up from Bonaparte and will not be eating as much damage as that first time. Again, Crystal is moving down to bot lane, so they are desperate to make some plays on Sunny. And the reason for that is because Sunny has no flash, so if they do manage to get an Aqua Prison into Crystal jumping on top, it's pretty much a guaranteed kill.
Oh man, so many Doran's blades in this game. Already up to 5 on the side of Tick, Trick, and Duck. So they want some of that efficiency with their early itemization here. You can see Crystal down in this bottom lane again, spending a fair amount of time down here. And it feels like Dark Passage don't exactly have the strongest very early game. we saw on Monday, I believe it was Game Extra, had the advantage against Dark Passage a good few times in that early game, got themselves very far ahead, and then Dark Passage came back into it. Same in the last game. Tick, Trick, and Duck really got a good advantage in the beginning of the game, and then Dark Passage found their way back. So maybe it's kind of one of the traits of Dark Passage right now.
Yeah, they're definitely a very tenacious, headstrong team that even if their backs are against the wall, they can somehow come back swinging. Phantom Joe is going to be tower diving alongside I Nightmare. This could be first blood indeed. It will be. Ignite goes down. And Phantom Joe again gets the upper hand on Fabulous.
That is indeed first blood going over to Tick, Trick, and Duck. And right as we said about Dark Passage maybe not having the best early game, they lose the first kill, but bottom lane, another engage.
Triel's getting smashed right now. Sunny will pick up that kill, get six-sided as well. Will be running away. The barrier has been popped here. Does Holy Phoenix want to go for this kill? Yes, he does. He will pick up the kill and flashes away. Seeing that Bonaparte is on super low mana, could actually survive this one, as the inner flame will be missing this as well. So Bonaparte does not have his ignite. Holy Phoenix is turning this one back around as Crystal is in close proximity, but ballsy play for Holy Phoenix pays off.
Oh man, Bonaparte threw out that soul flare, which is of course the mantraed inner flame, which is, I'm only saying the name because I'm looking at it myself and reading it. Like, not, I don't worry, I don't remember soul flare myself. I'm just trying to keep it in my mind. I threw it out in a direct line, but he must have known Holy Phoenix was running back to the lane. That if he'd have angled it ever so slightly, remember, soul flare pops after about a second to 2 seconds of being on the floor, and then does further damage and slows. So a little bit unfortunate there that Bonaparte really couldn't land that.
Oh, Acceleration Gate Shock Blast is not connected onto Naru in mid. I always get mixed up, Shock Blast and Shock Wave. Of course, Oriana's ultimate is the Shock Wave. Interesting enough, actually, Stress, we took that quiz, the League of Legends abilities.
Oh, don't remind me.
The passives was rock hard, man. I don't know how Paul's got over 100 on that.
That was soul destroying, but Fabulous going aggressive top lane forces the flash out after the Dominus.
It does. That should be a kill secured here from Fabulous. I say that, but the slice from Phantom Joe keeps himself alive, and that will probably be quite soul destroying for Fabulous. He probably thought he had a guaranteed ironclad kill.
Phantom Joe is actually down to about 4 health there. That's so close to being killed. That is heartbreaking.
It certainly is, but still managed to force him out, and
ooh, this is a good flank down in the bottom.
It is. My Nightmare has caught this one. Flame Chompers as well will knock Sunny into the air, but it's not going to be enough to keep Triel alive, as that will be the last auto attack going in. Meanwhile, in mid lane was another kill. Oh, the ultimate coming out from Sunny didn't even need it in the end, as I Nightmare picked up that second kill. So big shift in TTD's favor.
Yeah, and what happened in the mid lane was Crystal actually just moved over a pink ward on fairly low health, and Snow just was there. Crystal wasn't expecting Snow to react to it. Snow just picks him off. Gragas not around to defend him either.
So this is very reminiscent, actually, Stress, in that first game, where Tick, Trick, and Duck are pushing down on the accelerator, but it was around the 15 to 20 minute mark when things started to fall to pieces. They got caught in positions they really shouldn't have been in, and I'm quite interested to see if they've learned from those mistakes and they're going to manage to iron them out this time around.
That is something that you have to wonder. Fabulous going aggressive once again. Dominus isn't available for another few seconds, and Phantom Joe is caught out on the wrong side. Should have Dominus. There it is.
Yeah, Dominus has been utilized. Fabulous taking so much damage as the ignite and the kill as well. So actually, what turned into a heartbreak has just got a whole lot worse from a top lane.
Oh man, that was all down to that extra cooldown, or a lack of extra cooldown there on the abilities from Kha'Zix. Of course, just having to work around when they were available, and Dominus being up by 1 second keeps him alive there.
Well, there is the Soul Flare. I learned that today.
Yeah, we all learned a new one.
James Stress O'Leary here, just dropping the knowledge bombs on me. I've never actually played Karma.
Oh, don't admit that.
I know, I've never played her.
She's pretty fun, I must admit. Having what is essentially an Iceborne Gauntlet projectile, and the Shurelya's active, or now Talisman of Ascension active, on like a 30-second cooldown time, is actually really fun. Like, really fun.
Oh, when I say I never played her, I mean like ranked or on Summoner's Rift. I've played her plenty on Aram, but yeah, she's very fun. But I don't know the summoner names, the abilities. It's like crazy for me.
I know them as their normal one, and then I just say like Mantrad, Inspire. I should say Defiance, but it's difficult. It's difficult, man. You gotta remember all of it.
I've got like a goldfish memory, dude. It's like a sieve here in my mind. Some things stick, most of it goes straight through. But
Oh man, Civ ear. That's terrible,
oh
Civ.
yeah,
She's
I
not
didn't
even
actually.
in this game.
I didn't even mean that, but I'm
Straight
glad you
in.
picked up on it.
Top lane.
Well,
Get
it's
us out of
just
this joke.
the thing is that this is very. I know I've said this before, but this is deja vu from the first game where Fabulous found himself at a 2-level disparity from Phantom Joe. Phantom Joe was crushing top lane super hard, and yet somehow the rest of the team kind of put Fabulous on their back and just carried him to victory. And I am wondering right now. I'm a bit worried for Dark Passage because there is a stronger kind of composition here to not get caught in stupid positions. They've got the acceleration gate, and they've also got Bonaparte on Karma, so they should be okay.
That and Tick, Trick, and Duck should be able to carry this game through pretty easily on the objectives game, and they're catching Dark Passage out.
They are all 3 players flashing up red. Triel should be full. No safeguard will save that one only for a few more seconds. As there is the Mega Death Rocket firing in from Sunny. Nearly got a double kill actually, also onto Crystal. So he's going to be backing away, and they're going to turn this one straight into a dragon.
Holy Phoenix stuck around, and they're going to turn that one. Ooh, I thought that was going to be a zap hitting the mark. I thought they were going to pick that up, but as you said, dragon is going to be the objective that they choose.
It is. They all get this very comfortably indeed because Naru has no interest in this. He's going to go to mid lane instead. So that is dragon.
Interesting. I'm wondering what Jace is going to build here, unless I missed. Oh, it's of course it's going to be a Manamune. Yeah, ignore me. Don't worry. No, hang on.
No, I was going to say, like, I was going to agree, and I was like, wait,
Yeah,
she doesn't build into Manamune.
No, again, it's been so long since I built Manamune that I've forgotten what goes into it. But yeah, I should have kept my mouth shut because now I sound stupid again.
Well, I assume it's a Triforce.
Yeah, that was what I was thinking initially, and then I was like, no, don't be silly. And then tried to remember what Sheen built into and couldn't think of anything past Iceborne Gauntlet and Lichbane. And
Yeah.
of course, Triforce.
Well, I must admit, I've not built a Manamune in a very long time, since Blue build Ezreal, personally, so I can definitely understand that one. Here comes Phantom Joe actually trying to steal away the red buff as well. He gets Dragon's Raged, as Crystal seemed a bit miffed about that one. But still, the red buff is picked up from Renekton, so that's going to make Fabulous's job that little bit harder.
This is one of these times where as a caster your brain just goes, you're on your own on this one. And it's just like, mouth, take the lead on this. And it's like, I don't have the information necessary.
We'll just wing it.
Wing it. It is going to be a Triforce. There's a Phage in there. Okay, that makes sense. I was going to say, because it's not going to be a Manamune, because he hasn't got a tier. That would be ambitious. Holy Phoenix has been caught.
He has. Tidal Wave comes out as well. Holy Phoenix should be going down. There we go. Crystal's not able to get close enough at the end there. But yeah, good guy Snow saving you there with a Phage buy.
Yes, indeedy. Although it wasn't fast enough for me to have messed things up myself.
We can always cut that out of the VOD, I guess.
It's okay, I've got 3 minutes before chat gets it, so I can just like ignore that in 3 minutes.
You've got 3 minutes grace period and then you're going to get flamed to all hell.
I got 3 minutes to think about what I did.
Yeah, Phantom Joe has found himself Naru. There's the explosive cast Ignite. This should be a kill. He dukes out of the body slam, but still will be ticking down. So double buffs now on Gragas. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, Jace did take that opportunity to push that one down. So objective-wise, they're still ahead, and also gold-wise, actually, nearly 7,000 gold ahead.
He also now has the 5th point into Hypercharge as well, so it means his the 3 auto attacks that will be at full attack speed are going to be dealing 130% damage. So that's quite a lot of damage right now on those 3 attacks. So he's going to have Hypercharge every 4.5 seconds, and then take into account he'll be attacking at 2.5 attacks per second with Hypercharge available. That's going to be towers dying very quickly. Very quickly.
As you said in Champion Select, especially with Jinx as well, when you get into that minigun form, they're not going to be standing for very long. And That being said, Sunny is starting to try and push down bot lane with Bonaparte, but Triel and Holy Phoenix are pushing them back themselves, so still, this tower is refusing to go down.
Well, they've been caught out in the jungle, actually, when you look at it.
Well, Triel should be okay. I say that, definitely not going to be okay, so you can just ignore me on that one. Here comes the zap from Sunny, will not be landing. Relentless Pursuit, just about dodging out the way. What I thought was going to happen there is that Triel would go to the wall and flash through, then I realised the flash was on cooldown.
There's Tick, Trick, and Duck. I thought they were caught out. It looked like they were in a bit of a precarious position, and then To the Skies came out, and Snow kind of just dropped the hammer on Nami there. So, I mean, Tick, Trick, and Duck are just in control of this game, and I feel like their composition right now is so much better for keeping control of this game, because it's difficult when you are this far ahead to, when you're this far behind, to really stop a siege composition. It is very difficult without hard engage, and it's not something that Dark Passage have.
Yeah, I fully agree with you. The only way that they can really look to engage is if Triel lands a beautiful 3 or 4 man Aqua Prism into a tidal wave, or if Gragas catches someone out like this, we'll be taking down Bonaparte, but he's going to be going back in actually. That's a pretty interesting play. Will be taken down, in fact, will he? Because here comes Crystal Math from the side. Nightmare's chasing down. Jace picks up that kill though onto Triel, and now they're going to be getting chased down from Nightmare, who's looking for that kill, forces the flash from Crystal. Double kill from Jace actually there at the bot lane, 1v2ing both of the bot laners. I didn't catch that, but I'm assuming that was just a lot of damage.
I didn't quite catch it myself. I saw the first kill and then thought, okay, well, that's Lucian getting away from that one. And no, Jace picks up a second one. Of course, Jace is pretty good at following people when you take into account that acceleration gate. And also he'll get movement speed every time he changes, or at least changes form with that ultimate. So it's one of those things that Snow is just at a point where he is difficult to deal with. On more accounts, he takes towers down so quickly. He's only just got in front of that one. He has a lot of damage, and Nightmare is going to try and take that one down, but he's not the best at taking turrets.
Nightmare hits a rocky wave there, and it will be a 1-for-1. Snow will be falling as well, though. Double kill for Lee Sin, that's far from ideal. They'd have liked both those kills on Holy Phoenix. However, here comes the explosive caster Culling as well, going to turn onto Sunny, and the barrel roll will be shutting down Jinx, courtesy of Naru. So a nice little passage of play there, 3-for-1 trade. However, another tower has fallen. Now looking to chase on Bonaparte. Don't fancy his chances, although he has stunned out Naru. Body slam's coming up right now. The barrel roll will be coming out as well, and that's going to be another kill to Gragas. 5 turrets to 0 overall, though, is the lead here for Tick, Trick, and Duck. Dark Passage will pick themselves up a dragon here as it spawns. That'll give them a little bit of gold to try and recoup some of this gold disparity between the two teams, but that is kind of like, I've used this analogy before, that's kind of like using a bucket to try and bail out a sinking ship here, as they're just losing their base all the time to Tick, Trick, and Duck. And they need to be making catches like that. To be honest, that whole exchange was Tick, Trick, and Duck. First of all, focusing down the tower when they were 2v3, and then going in for another 2v3 to pick up the tower. And I don't know whether it was all that worth it if you Tick, Trick, and Duck. Yeah, they are, however, getting all of those towers outside of the base, outside the inhibitors down, except for the top one. So once the top tower does fall, they're going to have pretty much full control over the jungle of Dark Passage. And as you say, it is basically a drop in the ocean at this point. Fabulous has found himself a couple players. I should say Phantom Joe's found himself a couple of players, and he is more than tanky enough to deal with this right now. Okay, so Jace is going to melt towers even faster because that's a Youmuu's Ghost Blade picked up as well. So once the hypercharge attacks are down, because of course you can't go higher than max attack speed, he'll activate that Youmuu's Ghost Blade during that cooldown. And we'll get an extra 4 seconds of 40% attack speed increase as well. Take into account that he's got a Zeal already. He is currently at 1.1 attack speed, so after the hypercharge he's going to be dealing a lot of attacks very, very quickly, taking down turrets. I'm not going to do the maths on it, but you'll see turrets die very quickly. Yeah, almost attacking so fast it's like a laser beam coming out, because there's going to be no delay whatsoever in how many auto attacks are firing out. You can see Tick, Trick, and Duck, they are looking for a catch. That is a beautiful Aqua Prism from Triel. Even though it was fairly comfortable to land all 3 players, the fact that he would scout that out his spidey senses were tingling, and it was just such smart play from him.
Yeah, that was a pretty nice Aqua Prison. That's what they need, though, if they want to get into this. But the problem is no one from Dark Passage was able to follow up on that. You can see Lucian pushing in that bottom lane. They actually managed to deter 3 members down towards the lower side jungle there for Tick, Trick, and Duck. So Dark Passage need to stall this one out. And the thing is, we always say this is, you can stall out a game if you have inhibitor turrets. That is a very important point. It is so easy to do so on the current patch as well. However, with the tower pushing and sieging composition, like Tick, Trick, and Ducks, it is going to be a little more difficult than usual.
Especially as Phantom Joe is consistently pushing top lane, and no one can really deal with him on a one-on-one basis at this point in the game. So he's constantly drawing out 2 or 3 players to top lane, and that's giving the rest of Tick, Trick, and Duck the freedom to just kind of poke around mid or clear out all of these wards. And at some point, Dark Passage, they're going to go checking for a couple of players, and they're likely going to get caught, and that could very well transition itself into a tower or a Baron. So it's definitely one thing to watch out for.
Oh man, Dark Passage are going so aggressive here. They got to play this carefully, so very carefully as well. Ooh, Phantom Joe. Ooh, I thought they were going to go aggressive on this one. Dark Passage are just playing this oh so dangerously, but so sunny.
That damage from Gragas absolutely obliterated Sunny. Here comes the rocket from the backside. Phoenix catches that one on the bum there, but he is going to be walking back himself. Naru fires in the barrel roll, does pretty much no damage. Sunny was so close to death. I'm not sure if he caught that stress, but that was a barrel roll into explosive cask, and Sunny's health just disintegrated.
I caught the movement of health down on the health bar, so I didn't see the impact, but I saw the effects. Nightmare forced to flash out there as well.
Yeah, so summoners being expended left, right, and centre. A couple players are going to be recalling from Dark Passage, and that would have probably made Sunny's heart skip a couple beats there, because for me that looked like he was dead, especially as explosive cask landed on top of his head, and he did use that barrier to keep himself alive. So quick reactionary play from Sunny. However, that again puts us in this strange kind of stalemate position, because that damage is going to be a wake-up call to Tick, Trick, and Duck, and after that first game they don't want to make the same mistakes.
And the longer this goes on for Dark Passage, the happier they are, because they're not losing any objectives here. They're not losing any kills. They're not dying. They're just getting bits of gold here and there. You can see Gragas is such a big part right now for Dark Passage. 4-0, 200 and nearly 240 CS. Has himself some really big items finished. You can see Rabadon's Death Cap is doing a lot for them on that damage in that last exchange. Morellonomicon as well is going to stop some of the healing, and of course give them that extra cooldown reduction and some mana back. But it's one of these things that Dark Passage are kind of going to be okay as long as they're not hemorrhaging objectives. There's not actually that much that Tick, Trick, and Duck can do on the map aside from push objectives. Their team composition does that incredibly well, but apart from that, they haven't really got too much.
Well, potential engage coming out. Agony's Embrace is used. There's the explosive cask and the tidal wave. Snow's going in first. Mega Death Rocket will land. Does a bit of damage, but not really enough to keep Dark Passage away. And the ebb and flow is going to keep Fabulous alive here and very much healthy. So Tick, Trick, and Duck can't even force the Baron. So for all of the ultimates popped, nothing's really going to happen. Bonaparte gets caught there from an Aqua Prison. Very nearly signifies the end of his life. And again, because of these little picks here and there, Tick, Trick, and Duck have to back away again.
And they look like they want to go for Baron all the time, but you can't get Baron without getting a pick, and they have not got a pick in composition. You look at how much crowd control they don't have on the side of Tick, Trick, and Duck. No real crowd control from support. No real crowd control from the jungler either. I mean, we talked about it in the last game, soft crowd control out of Evelynn from that Agony's Embrace really doesn't do all that much for too long in team fights. That the only real stun they have is Renekton.
Yeah, the Ruthless Predator. Apart from that, as you say, there's not huge amounts other than maybe Flame Chompers, which is pretty easy to get out of. So yeah, that is certainly one of the sour aspects of Tick, Trick, and Duck's composition. Snow, however, is hypercharging his way through this tower, not able to pick it up, but it's only a couple of auto attacks away. In fact, he goes back in for seconds, and he will secure that tower kill after all. A couple players at bot lane actually recalling here, so Tick, Trick, and Duck may fancy the chances for Baron if they knew, but looks like they didn't.
It's pretty heavily warded out by Dark Passage. That's quite a bit of damage now going on to Nami, and she has to either sustain herself back up and use that mana or head back to the base, but good wards out from both teams are really keeping the vision on this top side of the jungle from Dark Passage, and that's where most of this game is happening. Oh, I thought he might have found Sunny, but they don't have the vision on where everybody else is, so didn't really want to go overly aggressive there.
No, and you can see both teams are very respectful of one another. They're not playing stupidly aggressive anymore. You can see that they're very controlled. They're very much trying to keep themselves in position. I say that as I thought Holy Phoenix was about to get caught out from snow. But this has certainly reached that stalemate period, Stress, where you have to feel it's going to be that small pick or that slight mistake that costs very, very dearly.
Yeah, if Tick, Trick, and Duck are the ones to get the pick, it's almost catastrophic for Dark Passage, because from there, an inhibitor and an inhibitor turret is incredibly easy for Tick, Trick, and Duck to take when you look at their composition. Dark Passage, a pick would really just continue to deny Tick, Trick, and Duck anything that they want from this map. So we really, truly are in a stalemate right now, and I don't know whether it's going to break without a big mistake here from either team.
Well, Crystal does connect both of the Qs there. Sonic Wave resonating strike combo. Jinx is at bot lane, so this could potentially make them a bit more likely to try and engage. Evelyn was at top, but it's now moving down towards mid. So again, kind of a very slow, steady approach from both teams. And maybe this is going to help Dark Passage slightly, because they do have a couple team members who are fairly loose in their play. They're super, super aggressive, and sometimes the aggressive plays are the ones that pay off.
Man, I thought Dark Passage weren't going to react then, and that would have been pretty catastrophic for them, as Jinx pushing in that bottom lane would have been pretty content to just sit by that turret, but luckily they do rotate out. That was a really nice play by Tick, Trick, and Duck, just to make sure that they were keeping Dark Passage on the defensive there, because you never really want to let people get too aggressive if you are in one of these stalemates. So just keeping them in check, reminding them of how quickly they'll start losing inhibitor towers if any of the members of Tick, Trick, and Duck get in front of them.
Well, it's these kind of nail-biting parts of play where it's difficult to really analyze too much as to what's going on, Stress, because it's a case of both teams are very kind of awkward and playing super, super safe to the point where they're not really willing to go in for anything too big. And so we get this strange Baron dance kind of situation. Although that being said, Crystal has been completely caught out of position. And that is going to spell so much doom for his team. Down for 35 seconds. And it's the jungler who doesn't have smite.
And Lucian is in the bottom lane. So it's a Baron here. Tick, Trick, and Duck have only got to focus it. They have to know. They can just go for it here. You can see Jace and Jinx are going to be the ones to start that one off. There's very little here that Dark Passage can do, save for a miracle steal out from Gragas or Kha'Zix. And it is possible. We saw a steal in the last game, I believe, go against Tick, Trick, and Duck.
We did. Here comes Gragas. Here comes a tidal wave as well. Can they steal this one out? There's the explosive cask. Not quite timed correctly there. Phantom Joe's eating a lot of damage though in retaliation, but that Baron buff is going to get him regened up. Here comes the Megadeth rocket, not landing. Will fire through, but still Baron was taken there from Tick, Trick, and Duck.
Oh, and it's now a siege composition with Baron. That is difficult to deal with if you are Dark Passage. So now it's turtle time. They've got to sit in their base for the next 5 or so minutes, as really they have to wait until Baron is back up again until they can do too much, because it's all well and good having the buff wear out, but then you're just down to the advantages there anyway. So it's one of these cases that without a mistake here from Tick, Trick, and Duck, Dark Passage have got to sit in their base for 5 to 7 minutes.
Oh man, as soon as you said turtle time, for some reason my brain went straight back to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, back
Heroes
to my childhood.
in a half shell.
Turtle power.
Yeah, man.
You know it. That's where my mind went though, like instantly.
I know it did. Mine did too, and I was saying it.
Well, it is very
now I
apt
want a
though,
slice
as well.
of pepperoni.
Yeah, me too. They're good. Where's Splinter when you need him? That's exactly what Dark Passage need right now. They need a mentor to get them through this tough situation, because as you say, the next 5 or so minutes are looking bleak. They can't afford to play aggressive, Again, I'm a bit confused as to what Crystal was doing in his jungle. I think it came down to that ward control again, and eventually the cookie did crumble for Dark Passage, and now they just have to, as you say, it's turtle time.
All these food references.
We're hungry,
Pizza, cookies. I don't want to say turtle soup because that's like
that's just
protected.
mean.
I know exactly. That's why I'm not saying it, even though I said it. But Fabulous got caught out there a little bit, lost some health, and they've got to be careful. They're going to go for a 3-1-1 in this kind of formation of pushing heavy with Jinx plus some backup here in the middle lane. Eve is just good for pushing waves out up there. They need her to come across on the flank as well, so it kind of just works out nicely for Eve. And Jace down in the bottom lane can look after himself. Well, we've already seen him 2v1, so even if he is 2v1, he can tend to kill two of them. So, yeah, I have a feeling this 3-1-1 is what we're going to see.
Well, Tick, Trick, and Duck need to be a bit careful. Maybe Dark Passage want to focus that Crocodile, get themselves some Crocodile shoes. Not too sure. You're mentioning Turtle Soup before, you never know.
Yeah, well, now we're just going for, like, endangered animals, and that's
A crocodile's
good.
endangered?
Well, No, I just mean that, you know, that whole...
Jace could be endangered right now. He's being chased down from Holy Phoenix. They need to be careful. If they overextend this one, it could prove to be fatal. Because remember, they are against a Baron buffed up team. That being said, they're so split up right now, a 1-2-2 formation, that Holy Phoenix could afford to go aggressive. Sunny is finding himself in a precarious position. The Q has landed from Crystal, but a bit too far away to connect the dots.
Yeah, I think he was also trying to just avoid the flame jumpers as they came out there. Didn't want to have to go through them, as that would have locked him down. But Dark Passage stuck inside their base, and they're just under constant siege here from Tick, Trick, and Duck. They're just going to continue to do this. Baron is going to run out in about 30 seconds, but even then, I have a feeling Tick, Trick, and Duck will still push until they've taken a little bit of damage from Naru and then are forced to back away.
Yeah, they can certainly afford to push even without Baron. My only query is that if Sunny finds himself caught again in a fairly nasty position, they may pull a trigger. They may go all in for him. Bot lane, there is a Snow going hard onto the tower, the hypercharge. And did I see an Ohm Wrecker being popped off? You
did see an Ohm Wrecker. I saw an Ohm Wrecker.
I saw the tower go black. I was like, what the hell is going on?
I was like, what is that?
I thought my graphics glitched.
Karma with an Ohm Wrecker. There's the culling being used in the bottom lane. Even with the Ohm Wrecker, they still couldn't take the turret.
Well, that's a very aggressive item, though. Like, really looking to force those towers down with the Ohm Wrecker. Plus, on top of that, Karma has picked up the Frost Queen's claim, which is seeing a lot more play after its changes recently. But Dark Passage, they have managed to force Tick, Trick, and Duck back once again here.
Interestingly enough, on the Frost Queen's claim, some supports will actually get the Frost Fang, which is the second upgrade, or the upgrade from Spell Thief's Edge, and then sell it and buy Talisman of Ascension, because it's typically a little more of a useful item.
Phantom Joe going super aggressive in the midst of two players. Trial's taking a lot though in return. Here comes a cavalry from My Nightmare and Snow as well. Naru's also in position, but doesn't feel like he can do a great deal in this fight. And I would certainly agree with that sentiment. Phantom Joe going back in. Ruthless Predator does land on Naru, but this could very well be the tower falling. Explosive Cast has been popped there from Naru just to force them away, get them a bit lower as well, so they're less likely to tower dive. But this looks like it should be the tower falling any second, Stress.
Dark Passage know how important this tower is to them, and Fabulous is going to go aggressive in the top lane. He already lost one engagement out to Jinx, and it looks like he wants to go for a second.
Oh, there's the Mega Death Rocket, though, and that is going to be enough to secure that kill. So with Kha'Zix being down at top lane, Sunny's going to pretty much get this free tower. We've already spoke about how prolific Sunny on Jinx is going to be at taking towers with a minigun, and in meanwhile they also pick up the bottom tower, so really bad couple of seconds for Dark Passage.
And they almost lasted out the duration. They had 1 minute left on the timer to Baron, and Tick, Trick, and Duck finally found the position there, and it was all from that catch onto, I believe it was Nami, to begin that one out. And from there, that's a dragon going over. That's just a little bit of extra gold in the pockets of Tick, Trick, and Duck. And now Tick, Trick, and Duck are going to head back, make sure they've itemized correctly, make sure they're all at their gold peak and item peak, and then head towards the Baron again, because they've already got a lot of control over this map.
So it seems thus far that Tick, Trick and Duck have learnt from those mistakes from game number 1, and they've not let this game slip through their fingers, so they are in a prime position to take this one down as well. Only 2 towers have been picked up from Dark Passage in this game, so it's a long way for them to go, and even though their inhibitors are all still standing, 2 of them are very vulnerable.
And especially against this kind of composition, that is worst case scenario. Because, as we said, you can save any game that you have inhibitor towers up on all 3 inhibitors. Now there are 2 big weak spots for Dark Passage that really Tick, Trick and Duck can just kind of do that 3-1-1 and will kind of easily push in as well. There's so little to stop Tick, Trick and Duck in that kind of 1v1 situation with the Jinx. You already saw that Fabulous couldn't 1v1 Jinx, tried it once even without the Super Mega Death Rocket being available and still lost that exchange.
I feel like the potential Baron steal could be last chance saloon for Dark Passage here. If they can manage to steal that one away, it could be their get out of jail free card, but Fabulous took quite a bit of poke there, and smart play I have to say from Tick, Trick and Duck. They don't even want to risk the idea of Baron here. There is the Soul Flare going in from Karma, lands on Triel, and they have poked pretty significantly on top of Nami. Now Phantom Joe catches Crystal on the upper sides here. Doesn't look like either team wants to fully engage right now.
You can see how starved Kha'Zix is right now for his itemization, because he's had to build in the last 5 to 7 minutes 2 1v1 Jinx. So he's picked up Warden's Mail before even finishing his second damage item. The only completed item really that he has is that Ravenous Hydra. Brutalizer, yes, is giving him extra damage, but it's not quite the same level that he'd be wanting from a Black Cleaver, which of course is a slightly later upgrade, so you wouldn't expect him to have right now. But that pickaxe, you'd expect to go towards Last Whisper. That should have been finished by now, and you can see that he even falls to Jace.
He does. Snow went up there, allowing the side of Dark Passage to push down middle, and he takes that inhibitor, kills Kha'Zix afterwards. Now going to get the second inhib as well, and that is simply brutal for DP. They did manage to get that secondary tower in the mid lane, but it really doesn't mean a great deal because their third inhibitor tower is about to fall. Flash in from Phantom Joe on Crystal, who's 2 levels below Phantom Joe, 3 below Snow, and this is probably going to be the third inhibitor falling, and this is really bad days for Dark Passage.
That is all 3 down. I feel like Tick, Trick and Duck, no, the timers are a little too low for them to just close this out, but if Crystal's going to give them extra kills, then they might be able to look for it. But now the siege is completely on. It's a matter of time now. Tick, Trick and Duck can just pull back, take a Baron, wait for all 3 lanes to be pushing in, and then kind of finish the game.
Yeah, you have to feel it's only a matter of time that Dark Passage are circling the drain right about now, and it's not going to be too long before they do go down the plug hole. And it's just a question of how quickly can Tick, Trick and Duck finish this, because I would love to be optimistic here, but honestly, all 3 inhibs down, they are 16,000 gold behind, and soon to be a Baron behind as well, unless Crystal pulls off a miraculous play. Doesn't look likely, as he is being chased down from Phantom Joe and Bonaparte as well. And in the meanwhile, Sunny and Nightmare trying to pick up this Baron. In fact, they're going for the kill instead of securing the Baron, which is an interesting play. They force the flash away, now they're going to be taking the Baron buff down.
I think they just wanted to make sure he was nowhere near so that there was no chance of a steal, but that's pretty much... I mean, I don't like to call it before it's over, but it really, truly is pretty much all she wrote against this kind of composition.
Yep, fully agree. I can't see how Dark Passage are going to pull this one out, to be honest, unless there's a Herculean throw from Tick, Trick and Duck and they'll go and Fountain Dive or something. Even then, it's going to be a good 10-15 minutes before DP can pull themselves back, and you can see they're going for the final stand right now. Desperation play only a matter of seconds away.
I mean, it's typical, well, when you look at games that have had 3 inhibitors down and the team have come back, it's not really been against this kind of composition where it's a fast push, and typically it means that the defending team have a better scaling composition, which really they don't. So that's why it's highly unlikely for a comeback here, because Tick, Trick and Duck are just kind of going to roll into the base.
Phantom Joe has popped the Dominus, going to be a very tanky Crocodile on the front lines. Meanwhile, the rest of his team are isolating Fabulous away from the Nexus. Nexus is going down. That's going to be second game to Tick, Trick and Duck. So we are going to be going into that finale, the 3rd game. In this best of 3, winner goes through to the grand finals.
And that should be a great game number 3. We were saying that this is the start of where these teams are really going to start matching up on the skill level, and we're seeing it already here as we head towards game number 3. So we're going to be back in just a couple of minutes once we got all the players into the lobby and everything sorted out for game number 3 here in our best of 3 semi-finals between Tick, Trick, and Duck and Dark Passage.